Sure, there might not be hockey, but we've still got hockey things to talk about here on Locked On NHL. All sorts of great stuff coming up for you today on this episode of Western Conference Wednesday.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, we are here to talk about some of the goings-on in the National Hockey League, and some of that does actually include hockey games. It's not all doom and gloom. There has been hockey played. So we'll talk about that on today's show, which is brought to you by Primal Origin Oils. If you've got beard, get Primal. You can stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. Check out primaloriginoils.com to learn more about their full line of beard care products. You can use the code LOCKEDON for a 20% discount at checkout. You'll hear more about beard times later on in today's show. But I am Sarah, host of Locked On Kings, one half of Western Conference Wednesday, as always, joined by my partner in crime, Jess Belmosto, host of Locked On Calgary Flames. And we're here to talk. We're actually going to start talking about Calgary, because you literally, in the moments before we sat down to record today's show, there was some news about the Flames. So I will just let you take it away. What has your team done?
Besides spread COVID to the entire NHL.
Other than that.
Well, it turns out that for those of you who don't know, I wouldn't expect many people to know or to care, but the Flames ownership group and the city of Calgary have been in the works since 2019 to get a new arena going and get rid of the iconic Saddle Dome. But today, the mayor of Calgary tweeted that they spoke with Murray Edwards, who is the primary shareholder of Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation. And he informed the wonderful mayor that the Flames' intention to pull the plug, their intention is to pull the plug on the deal because he wants taxpayers to pay for it. And
that'll go over
I
well.
hope I'm not butchering her name. Jayati? I'm sorry. I didn't take time to look it up. That's my bad. But in a pandemic? And what? Alberta has mismanaged the pandemic horrifically based on the tweets that I see from the Calgarians that I follow. And to be I want people to sacrifice more of their money for a new arena.
Yeah.
It's just so painful.
And you would think that every time a team does this, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, if it's hockey, football, whatever it is, anytime new arenas come up, the first thing that comes up is, are you going to make taxpayers pay for it? And here's why you shouldn't, because you're bajillionaires, just pay for your own stupid arena.
Exactly.
And you think if you're trying to avoid, I'm no business person. I'm sure there's a valid reason for why they want taxpayer money other than not spending all of their own money. But just to avoid the bad press of, getting raked over the coals for wanting taxpayer money, like you said, in a pandemic, when there's lots of better things that, governments should be spending their money on than a new arena for the Calgary Flames.
Right.
It just seems like a bad idea.
It absolutely does. And the first thing that comes to mind is when the San Diego Chargers wanted a new stadium and they were like, yeah, no, taxpayers are going to pay for it. And the fan base was like, peace out. We're going to go find new teams. Go to LA all you want, but it's not coming out of our pockets and our paychecks. And a bunch of the replies are just kind of why do they do this? They have all the money, sell the team, which has been a big thing going on. give the guy a break. He was only worth $4 billion last year.
Oh,
Uh,
chump change.
oh yeah, the Quebec Flames moved them back to Atlanta.
Huh? I'd go for that one. I
Yeah,
mean,
give me
yeah,
some East Coast times,
right,
please. I'm
right.
selfish, but I mean,
Right, like we make it let's make Atlanta work again. Sorry, Calgary, but like you
let's
had
do
your
it.
chance. Like let's give Atlanta another run at it. Sure, it didn't work last time, but
Atlanta
maybe
has been built up since then.
right.
Atlanta is the place to be,
Right.
apparently.
And that yeah, this is just I feel like it's been like a whole bunch of arena nonsense news because we also had the stuff with the the Coyotes
Yeah.
who decided they could just try to get away with not paying their taxes.
$1 million in taxes.
Right, and hope that no one noticed, I guess. But I guess they're all caught up, or at least they've caught up enough that the city of Glendale isn't going to lock them out, and now they have like a payment plan. And I'm like,
It'd be
cool.
like
So like,
that.
right.
It
So it's like student loan people with student loans handshake meme, like
Yeah, right.
Arizona Coyotes, like trying to defer paying our bills. Like,
Yeah, no, like, I literally have a bill for this semester, and I'm like, "Oh, well,
what if I just didn't?
well, what if I just, like, still continue to go to class, but just
Right.
don't pay?"
Right. Well, that I mean, and if someone calls you on it, you can be like, "Well, that's what the Arizona Coyotes did."
Exactly. I
Yeah.
am simply trying to emulate
A
the
professional organization.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that this was a smart move,
Mhm.
but
You're like, "This is how sports works.
yeah,
I'm doing sports
exactly.
things with my major." Like, yeah,
Right,
no,
like,
it's
I
ridiculous.
feel like it's a good negotiating tactic,
Mhm.
although I don't make a lot of money compared to these leagues, so
Eh.
their negotiating tactics seem a little skewed, but to see mine,
Right.
I
Yeah. It just all of this just seems really poorly thought out. But like, you think that did you really think that the city of Glendale was just gonna be like, "Ah,
yeah, oh, it's just
fine.
like a million something dollars,
Eh,
don't worry about it.
yeah, no big deal.
No!
They already don't like you,
Right, like, they're
Coyotes."
trying
Like
everything to shove you out of there. So, you know what? Maybe it was human error. Maybe they just didn't send you the bill because they were like,
Mhm.
"This is how we'll get them. This is how we'll do it." Um, we'll just they're probably not thinking about the tax bill the same
Yeah.
way a normal human being
No.
thinks about it,
Yeah.
and, just
Yeah.
oops.
Yeah. I mean, I did really enjoy the Coyotes argument of like, "Oh yeah, it was human error. Like we thought we submitted it and we didn't." I'm like, "That's my excuse for every time I forget to send an email at work and I'm like,
Right,
"Oh, you didn't get that? I'm so sorry. I thought I sent it. Let me go back and check and I'll send it to you again."
right?
Like
Like,
everyone sees through your excuse, Arizona. Like,
it's
no.
just be better, people. Again, just you're worth a lot of money now. Arizona, I don't know what your financial state's what
Iffy.
that's looking like right now, but you know what?
Iffy.
You have probably a good amount of money from
Right.
stakeholders and all those rich people, but maybe we try to allocate funds a little more appropriately next time.
Yeah. Sounds
And
sounds wild.
I
Yeah.
just sell the Flames, sell the Coyotes,
Right?
an
Moral of the
expansion draft.
story, right? Like A, pay your taxes.
Yep,
B, stop asking taxpayers to pay for your arenas. Like
exactly.
you're just don't do
It
that.
is almost tax season. Those
Yeah.
W-2s, they're coming right around the corner.
Exactly. So
Oh,
just yeah, just come on guys. You're all bajillionaires. Like just buy your own arena. I'm sorry.
literally. Just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about some more bajillionaires coming up after this. We do have some hockey to talk about because there is at least one team that's still playing. We'll talk about them in a second. But before we get to that, I believe you have some news to share with me about beards.
I do. Got beard? Get Primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard and needs to get Primal, maybe you have a guy in your life that has never really considered the benefits of treating their beard with product. Primal Origin oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. These products are free of harmful synthetic ingredients and they have low impact on our planet, which is very important that companies continue to do their part because, again, cajillionaires are ruining this planet. Primal Origin oils make balms, oils, and whipped butter that are renowned as the best feel in the world, in the products, beard products available for you. That was an unknown caller. It's probably Arizona telling me to shut up. All the products are fair trade certified and handcrafted in the United States of America. These combo kits make great holiday gifts if you are shopping for yourself. At this point, you might need to wait till after the holidays. Don't wait till the last second. So, we all know that every company claims to be the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and feel the difference that in the products that you've used. We promise you will see and feel the difference. Remember to use code LOCKED ON that gets you 20% off at primeandoriginoils.com. Use the code LOCKED ON at checkout for 20% off.
All right. And when you're done shopping for the person with the beard in your life, you can go shop for snacks because I
That's my
think
kind of
that shopping like takes a lot out of it. Me personally, I'm like, I need a snack while I'm doing the shopping. So Built Bar is, I think, where you should be turning to get your delicious snack. It is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, and it is filled with tons of different great flavors. They're high in protein, low in fat, low in sugar, low carbs, and so you're going to get the best of both worlds. Built Bars are both delicious and healthy. They come in a ton of different flavors, things like mint brownie, there's double chocolate, cookies and cream, peanut butter brownie, there's this new rose chocolate thing, which seems really fascinating.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's like lemon, there's blueberry things, basically anything you can think of. They've got a flavor of Built Bar or Built Puff or Built something else for you to go check out. And there's always special limited edition flavors. I feel like I saw something about gingerbread the other day, which I think sounds really
That sounds
exciting.
delicious.
Yeah, so really whatever it is you're into, you can find a Built Bar to give you the extra fuel that you need to take care of your Christmas shopping, take care of all your last minute needs, the running to grandma's house and dealing with the like 14 small children running around and screaming. Built Bars are there to get you through the holiday season and beyond. And they're also great gifts. They're great stocking stuffers. They're nice and small. You can wrap them all individually just to irritate the person who has to open them all. I do that all the time, and it's really funny. And so you can go check out Built Bars for great gifts as well. So go right now to built.com. Check out all the things they have available, all the great flavors, and then use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Get your holiday snacks right there. And now, the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah. We earlier in the season, I feel like we had a great time being like, haha, Vegas, what's up? Because they weren't doing very good.
No.
And they heard us mocking them and decided that they wanted to actually play hockey. And now they're the first team in the Pacific Division. They, at many points, were not even in a playoff position. But they have won 8 of their last 10 games. They're on a 5-game winning streak. And that doesn't even count the game that hasn't quite happened yet. There's right now, fingers crossed, they're supposed to be like the last game on the schedule before everything takes the official pause. They're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, but we've already heard Evgeny Dadonov and Alex Pietrangelo both have been put on the COVID list for Vegas, and it just came out that John Cooper for the Lightning, the coach of the Lightning, has also now entered COVID protocols, and so their assistant coach is going to be running things behind the bench. So they might be the last game, but they're like limping to the finish line. But they have won 5 straight, and sure, one of them was over the Devils, who are not very good, but they also beat the Wild, the Boston Bruins. They beat the Rangers, and they beat the Islanders in what was a homecoming for Robin Lehner in his first game back there with Vegas since he was traded. or since he left the Islanders. And he also had to conquer his nemesis, the shootout, because the story on Robin Lehner has always been he's bad at the shootout. And guess what? He had to win that one in a shootout for Vegas. Yeah.
Come on,
and,
Robin.
Right. And, very emotional homecoming for him, whatever. But Vegas, man, I liked it a lot better when they didn't look very good.
100%. I think that it was a lot more fun to talk about them. But, obviously we talk before these shows. We got to get some brainstorming and some segment ideas going. But, what's the point of bragging standing wise and, oh, this team's on a 7-game win streak when there's like 6 teams playing?
Right.
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but it certainly feels like it's something small like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially in the Pacific where you have you have three teams in Canada. You have Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And all before any of the COVID shutdown stuff officially happened the other day, the Canadian teams all had their schedules postponed if they had to cross the border. So we've already got those 3 teams maybe playing fewer games. I mean, if you're looking at just in terms of games played, Vegas is at 31, Calgary is at 28, Edmonton 29. So they've played more games than some of the competition that was previously at the top of the standings, and they're doing it because they have luckily been one of the few teams that hasn't been taken over by COVID. This is totally unrelated to the topic, but I was just looking at the standings, and Calgary's goal differential is a plus 25. What are you guys doing over there? That's so many goals
nonstop. I didn't even know it was that high.
They're all Andrew Mangiapane's.
I was just gonna say half of those, if not close to 90%, probably Mangiapane.
I think it's actually almost the best in the league. This is
Calgary being good at something?
This is a total diversion from what we actually meant to be talking about, but now that I saw this, I can't unsee it. They are 3rd in the league in terms of goal differential, behind Carolina at a plus 33 and Washington at a plus 27. So, good job.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you so much. On behalf of the Calgary Flames, I will accept this award. Wow, that's actually impressive. But like you were saying, these teams had their schedules postponed. They can't cross the border.
Right.
And then I don't know, just that I feel like there's only a few competitive teams in the lineup that you said that Vegas had beaten. The game against Boston was brutal. I somehow suffered through it. I was begging it to stop. But I don't know, just there's no reason to be bragging right now. And as far as I'm concerned, any team leading and some weird statistic that's currently playing is that has a fat asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
Because again, most divisions it's just heavily skewed right now. There's just not it's like the Canadian division last year, okay? None of it they weren't really good teams.
Right. You mean to say that the Montreal Canadiens would not have made it to the Stanley Cup final had things been normal?
I don't even think they would have made the playoffs.
Nice.
Wouldn't have touched it.
Spicy, but also probably true.
It's just like these realignments and all these, it just creates a bunch of weird stats that people can be like, well, they've played this many games without having this. And it's like, well, yes, but the only reason your team didn't have that is because our Canadian teams can't cross the border.
Right.
So, watch
and I feel like so many of the games are so weird now in that, the Florida Panthers is the first one that comes to mind. They lost to the Kings, and that's why I know. Because the Florida Panthers were icing half of their AHL team because everyone else had COVID. So it's they lost that game, but did they really? They lost it because they couldn't field a full team, because,
can't afford to call up like
mhm.
everyone from the AHL,
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah. And I feel like we'll probably talk a little bit more about it in the next segment too when we look a little more at COVID. But it's just it's such a weird, for as much as people were like, oh, the bubble season is gonna whoever wins the Stanley Cup in the bubble year, like, oh, it's an asterisk, it's not really, doesn't really count. The subsequent seasons have also all been weird because
Yeah.
of, players missing and taxi squad and whatever. And or yeah, now like Vegas being the only team that's still playing games when everyone else has had to pause. So of course they better be at the top of the standings
I would
because
hope
they're
so.
still playing.
It's I don't understand. Like, it comes down, obviously, like, technicalities and stuff, but people who obviously say things like, "Oh, like, there's an asterisk next to, like" I know I
Mhm.
just said there's an asterisk right now next to
Right,
Vegas,
but
but that makes
yeah.
sense because there's pretty much a full pause everywhere else.
Right.
But the bubble postseason was real.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, there was no yeah, there was, like, the play-in series, but that made sense
Right.
because you had an abrupt stoppage of
Mhm.
play, and you can't just be like, "Okay, everyone else."
Right.
Mm.
And probably harder for teams to, they're playing in no fans, they're playing not in their home arena, in their
Right.
home areas. Like,
After
I
not
feel like
playing for 3
right.
months.
Right. If I don't do something for 3 months and then have to start doing it again, like,
Ugh.
it's gonna be a disaster.
It's like when I stopped going to the gym and then suddenly I'm like, "Oh, I'll go again," and then I'm dying 10 minutes
Right.
into, like, a
Like, it's
walk
a
on the treadmill.
horrible choice. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it like, yes, Vegas looks good because they've won 5 games in a row. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens when games start up again and
Yep.
when, their schedule gets back to normal. I mean, the next game on their schedule was supposed to be against the Kings, so they probably would have won that. But like, it's not like they're playing bad teams every night to beat up on, but they're
Right.
also not playing the best of the league. So congrats to being back on top at the division like everyone thought you would be, but we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, like and again, I don't expect things to shake out, go right back to how teams were playing before the pause. Because I mean, even though you have mild symptoms, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean, you know, "Oh, I'm fine and ready to go back to full strength."
Mhm. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Like, if the mild symptoms are like a bad cold, I know what I wanna do when I have a bad cold, and the answer is nothing. So,
Last
you
thing I
know
wanna do is go out and do physical
right,
activity. So thank
exactly.
you so much,
So,
COVID.
kudos to them for doing it because this is why I'm a podcast host and, not a athlete,
This is why
aside
we
from the
just
fact that
watch
I,
hockey. We
have no
don't
skill.
yeah. We'll leave that part out.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. We'll talk a little bit more about the latest in the COVID pause slash postponement slash whatever, and also Olympics coming up after this. But of course, thank you for making this show your first listen of the day every day. The show is free and available on all platforms. So make sure you're subscribing if you haven't done that already. We also want to make sure that you know all about betonline.ag because they have you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. We, of course, have football going to the playoffs. We have the College Bowl season. Everything hand egg ball shaped you can find on betonline.ag. It is, of course, your number one spot for all the sports action this season. So no matter what it is, if it's basketball, football, hockey, boxing, fighting, someday baseball will exist again, maybe, question mark.
Maybe.
And when it does, you can find it on betonline.ag. So don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. You can go to the website on your phone or on your computer, sign up today, and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code Locked On to receive that bonus. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports and or also like The Bachelor or something. So don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers that are available. So betonline.ag, promo code Locked On. BetOnline, where the game starts. So COVID, it's still happening. And the league
You mean it
finally,
didn't stop after the
it,
election, like Tony
yeah,
D'Angelo
no,
thought?
no, really? Wow. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Um, it's still a thing, and the league finally did what we had expected or had hoped, I guess,
Yeah,
that
we
they
talked
would
about it
do.
last week.
Yeah, and they listened to us. So thanks, NHL.
Oh,
Thanks for
cut
tuning
us a
into Locked On
check.
NHL, right? And so they've officially paused things until after the holiday, and this Lightning Golden Knights game that is maybe not happening after we're recording this is allegedly the last game, and then everyone's going to take a break, return to their respective homes, hopefully sit at home alone and do nothing and not get COVID in the meantime, and there'll be a little bit of a break, a little bit of a reset before players have to start returning and getting tested before they can actually return to practices or anything. But so the league is trying sort of to stem the tide of COVID diagnoses and all that stuff. But it's also a little too late. Like the Flames have 20 guys on the list still.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only people who don't have COVID on the active roster are Blake Coleman and Matthew Tkachuk. And I saw a tweet the other day. It was like, Matthew Tkachuk not contracting COVID while being around his entire team who has it, being like playing against teams who have it, is the most Matthew Tkachuk thing ever. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know. I just know that Blake Coleman has been living his best life with his daughter, skating on like a frozen lake or a
That's
pond in
adorable.
Calgary, and like both of his kids are Stanley Cup babies,
Oh.
but like, they're so cute. And he was like, "This is exactly like what I did growing up." I'm like, "You grew up in Texas. What do you mean?" But like, no disrespect. I'm like,
Right.
I
No.
grew up in the Northeast, and my parents told me if you ever step on a frozen pond, you're gonna fall through. So I
Mm-hmm.
could never.
Yeah.
But uh, Matthew Tkachuk was a shoo-in pretty much for the
Mm-hmm.
Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few other players, obviously Gaudreau,
Mm-hmm.
Mangiapane was on
Yeah.
the cusp. Zadorov, which is
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
Right.
they're
I mean,
watching, but okay.
right. Yeah,
Um, do
what
your thing, I guess.
Markstrom wasn't like he was kind of the,
Yeah, I'm
Sweden had been looking at him, and
yeah.
then here we are. And yeah, it's 50, at least 50 games have been postponed, including 32 just this week alone. And that's, sort of when the league and the Players Association were like, okay, let's
Like,
stop.
if they
Let's stop.
paused it last week
Hmm.
before it was
Yeah.
publicly known that 100 players
Yeah.
had entered the protocol list or whatever,
Hmm.
maybe we wouldn't have to do this.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I mean, yes, there would be rescheduling, but people wouldn't be looking at it like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right. I
Because
mean, I
they
feel
would
like
have been proactive.
right. And I feel like last week when we talked, the big like everyone was all up in arms about the fact that it was like 20 some guys were on the list, and you were like, "Oh, you could make a whole NHL roster out of all the people on the
Yes.
COVID list." And now it's
You got the
so
whole league.
right, you have a whole like division of guys
Right.
out. And fortunately, everyone is basically saying that guys are asymptomatic or have mild symptoms at worst. We're not hearing of, severe cases, which is, the vaccine
That's
and the
what a
boosters are doing
vaccine
their jobs.
does.
That's great.
Yeah.
But it still is, these guys don't live in bubbles. They do have to go out and interact with their families and interact with other people. And, all because you're asymptomatic doesn't mean that you can't go get someone else sick if you don't know about it. So it's the right choice.
This is
Frustrating that
year
it took
2
this
of this.
long.
I'm losing
Right.
my mind. I feel like we've had this conversation over
Right.
and over again.
And yet here we are.
Yeah.
Teams right now, the plan is that everything is going to be back on the Monday after all the weekend, because that's when
Yeah.
Mondays happen. There's 14 games on the schedule. I'm going to be excited to see how many of them actually happen.
I'll be happy if like 2 happen.
Right.
I'm not
Like
gonna
so
lie.
so players they come back to their teams on Sunday, and that day is used for testing, practices if able, and it's a travel day. Per the league's rules, no individual in the team's traveling party is allowed to enter their training facilities other than for testing purposes until they have a negative test result. And they're even saying
Which is how
that,
it should be from the
right,
beginning.
right. I mean, we're still in a world where guys are getting pulled from warmups or pulled mid-game because, oh, their test results came back. And I'm like, shouldn't he have just not
Like,
been
this isn't a pregnancy test. This is a contagious virus. And listen, the one thing I remember from science, other than mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, is that air particles move faster when it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's cold? A hockey rink.
Yeah. Yeah. There were actually 2 interesting articles. I'll try to remember to tweet them out on my Twitter, which is linked down there at Right Said Sarah on the YouTube thingy. You can look at it. There were 2 interesting articles. They actually came out on the same day, completely independently of one another, but two writers both had the same idea. Marissa Ingemi, who covers the Seattle Kraken for the Seattle newspaper, had an article, as well as one of the writers for Canes Country, which is the SB Nation Hurricanes blog, who I think it was Brian who wrote it, who has like studied meteorology, and he, at one point was on track to be a meteorologist or something, and was kind of applying the things you learn in meteorology about, cold air and all of that stuff, and why that is making COVID so much more transmittable in hockey. And they both literally had the same premise for their articles. Same day they were posted, same sort of science behind it. And it was very interesting to see just the complete randomness, I guess, of the world. But, it's a really interesting look at why we're seeing this, why we're seeing, sure, I know football has had a ton of problems, and I mean, like the entirety of the Cleveland Browns all have COVID now or something. So it's hockey isn't the only sport having COVID issues, but the whole you're playing in a frozen room aspect isn't helping things.
And then, like, most hockey and NBA arenas share, like, there's facilities. I know with Boston, they share their practice facility with the Boston Pride, and they had a COVID case, and their last weekend's matchup was canceled. And, like, they didn't lie when they said this stuff lives on surfaces for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you clean it. You're not guaranteed to get rid of it.
Right. So I'm going to be very curious to see on next week's edition of Locked On NHL Western Conference Wednesday if we actually have hockey to talk about, or if we're coming back here to all of you saying, so guess what? We postponed some more games.
Yeah. Like, we might just have to pull up, like, arena calendars and be like, all right, we're going to give everyone some games. And
I mean, I already have looked at, so my birthday is in February, and one of my greatest friends here, her birthday is the day before mine. And so she is also a hockey fan. And so every year we go to a birthday game. We pick the game that is closest to our birthdays, and we buy tickets. We buy tickets in like the nice like loungy section where they come and bring you food at your seats, and there's a coat check. We splurge. And we were kind of bummed this year because we're like, well, there's the Olympic break and the All-Star break. And so there wasn't any hockey during the part of February where our birthdays are. And now, of course, that the league and the Players Union have also announced, no, we're not sending NHLers to the Olympics. Alex Ovechkin, this means you can't go, which frees up the league to try to start rescheduling some of those games in February, which is going to be hard because arenas have other obligations, and trying to shoehorn any of these in is going to be rough. But I definitely pulled up the arena schedule for my local professional NHL hockey team, and there's a nice block of time where nothing is happening on the week of my birthday. So I'm like, hey, schedule maker, give me a birthday game.
I'll do $5 if you can make this happen.
Yeah, I'll buy you a hot dog or something.
Yeah.
Like,
you might need more than $5 for that, but
well, yeah, it's like an $8, $10 like. So we'll see. I'm hoping that we have at least one hockey game to talk about next week.
And I hope it's a Western Conference.
Right. It's probably gonna be like Arizona or something. Yeah.
Pretty bad.
By the way, bringing it all full circle, Arizona has the worst goal differential in the league.
Of course
It
they
is
do.
it's a negative 53. Yeah.
What's the what's the second?
It's Montreal with negative 42, which is also bad.
That's,
But
yeah.
but like the real great thing is the gap between Montreal and basically everyone ahead of them, because the next lowest team is Chicago with minus 25. So that's a big gap between
Wow.
team number like 30 and
31.
31 and 32. Yeah. So there's your Arizona Coyotes fact for the day. They have a minus 53 goal differential. So I think that's the greatest note we could possibly end the show on. Nothing can top that.
Nothing.
Sorry, Arizona. It stinks to be you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that really does suck.
So,
Robin, if you're listening,
right,
we're
we
very
love you.
sorry.
We love you. I'm sorry
love
about your team.
Seriously.
So we'll be back next week, and maybe we'll have something to talk about that isn't the Arizona Coyotes. But if it is, we'll talk about the Arizona Coyotes, and it'll be great. In the meantime, Jess, where can people find you and all the stuff that you do on the internet?
Yes, you can find my show, Locked On Calgary Flames, on your favorite podcast platform and, of course, YouTube. And then you can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. And if you're watching on YouTube, right there.
And I, of course, am on Twitter at Right Said Sarah. It's WRITE said Sarah with an H. It's also down there if you're looking at the YouTubes. You can find Locked On Kings wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be talking about World Juniors later this week. So even if you're not a Kings fan, we've got some cool World Junior stuff coming up there. If you are listening to Locked On NHL, which obviously you are because you're listening to this show, we are going to have special World Juniors focused like mini episodes throughout the whole competition. So definitely check that out. We have Tyler, who is the host of Locked On Capitals, is joining us here on the national show team squad thing. And he will be doing some special standalone episodes just about World Juniors. So if you haven't already subscribed to Locked On NHL, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those in your podcast/YouTube feeds. And make sure you come back tomorrow for more great stuff here on Locked On NHL. And we will be back with you next Wednesday for another edition of Western Conference Wednesday. Until next time, this has been Locked On NHL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.